Hello, everybody, the weirdos out there. It's me, Riot, and we have a special guest. We have no Morgan. We've let Morgan go on vacation. We've given him some time off, because as if he needs it. But we have David Dawson here. This is the man who has brought to you a film that will change your view of the human psyche. It's
Hell
Flesh
yeah.
Games. We will talk about Flesh Games in a moment. It is a film that will be on the Saturday night of Terriblefest this year. But let's talk a little about you in general, David. Welcome. Thanks for coming, for starters.
Thanks for having me.
Um, so, David, Flesh Games is not your first endeavor to film. You definitely show your skill in your subtle editing, so you know what you're doing. But tell us a little bit about what you've made before Flesh Games.
Okay. Yeah. So I've been making stuff for probably a decade-ish, something like that. I mean, I went to film school and stuff a long time ago, and I made a million shorts. I don't even know how many, but the first feature I made was in 2015 or 16. It was called Fireworks. So I started with, I mean, I just make like super low budget indie, and then it's like a lot of it has like a tinge of horror, but I wouldn't call most of them like straight up horror movies. But yeah, first movie is Firework. I made a handful of other ones, one called Bone Barrel. And that Bone Barrel, I started to play with like found footage and stuff using like camcorder and video elements and stuff like that. And then yeah, Flesh Games is the first feature I made where I fully went in on SOV, shot on video stuff, and it's fully found footage. And yeah.
When you became you said you went to film school, and
Mhm.
how much do you feel you threw out the window as soon as that was done?
I mean, most of it. Most of it. I was throwing most of it out of the window during film school, to be completely honest. I mean, I was
I mean,
making a
I'm
lot.
not bashing higher education, but I
No,
do
no, no, yeah.
hear this all the time.
No, for sure. I think it is. I mean, if you want to go to college or what, I mean, because I didn't like grow up being like, I want to go to film school. I was just like kind of already making stuff and I decided to go to college. So I was like, well, just do that. But I think if you're gonna go, I think it is important to learn like the basics of like how to make something look good if you want to, and then you can just do whatever you want after. I mean, it's all about breaking the rules, anyways.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't regret that I went to college for radio and broadcast journalism, but every time I put one of these headsets on, I do get a sort of PTSD somehow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I worked in like the creative department of a TV station for 7, 8 years, and sometimes it's like I mean I hated that because it's just the weird corporate like situation, being in an office making bullshit and that I hate and whatever. But yeah, I totally get that.
I mean, I self-destructed myself that way when I was working one of the first radio stations I worked at. The actual fun part was so disappointingly not fun that I chose to take an office job where I could just sort
Yeah,
of hide away, come in, do stuff, and leave. And that they like, I
yeah,
don't now. If it's disappointing, at least I know it's disappointing.
right, right.
I don't have these like childhood dreams of being WKRP and being ruined by it.
Yeah,
But
it's hard sometimes to like put like effort and like you're all into something and then you're like, ah, this is all bullshit, dude. So
well,
sometimes it's easier just to be like, I'm just gonna do a job because it's a job, and then this will be separate.
yeah, and that's the thing, because sometimes you have to realize that as much as we all want our creative endeavors, sometimes a job is a job.
Right.
But that's why we have Terriblefest, where we're going into the underground to do the things that no one has told us not to do, which isn't necessarily a good thing. Everyone's like, oh, the real creative juices come from when you don't have a board of directors telling you not to do something. And like, yeah, it's true. The creative juices do come out that way, but so does everything else.
Right, exactly.
Which
Totally.
is part of the fun of the experiment. That's why we go dangerous here. Now, uh, we also have you playing on the week later in San Francisco.
Hmm.
You'll be at the Unnamed Found Footage Festival, which I love those guys. I've found them to be like a sister at heart festival to my own. We've run that kind of schedule. They've always been about a week after me, but they're like 3 times bigger, which therefore every time I notice that they pick things that I've liked, I feel like I'm with the cool kids.
Yeah.
They've got a lot of interesting spokespeople, I guess is the way to say it, but who speak for that festival online. There are a lot of fun people there. I will you'll everyone out there in video land, you'll be seeing me name drop those guys after Terriblefest because they don't get any free advertising until I'm done.
That makes sense, dude. Yeah, no, I was on their podcast, The Overlook Hour, a few weeks ago, and
Yeah.
they're all awesome people. It's been awesome. Yeah, I've only known them for a little bit, but it's family already. So yeah, they're awesome.
I can't get enough of Terrell, who does
The
his
Blu-ray thing,
Blu-ray
yeah,
part for them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
That I'll watch that guy's videos at like 4 o'clock in the morning when my wife's asleep and cackle out laughing and wake her up
yeah,
and be like, "Oh, it's just Terrell. Don't worry."
yeah, yeah. Their whole brand or all their content's awesome.
Yeah, I mean they started as backyard as I did. However, the difference of being able to set something up at a theater in California, as there's a certain magic that happens out there.
True,
Uh,
true, true.
However, we've got. I mean, it's. I forgot that winter happened, so we're now entering spring, and before we know it, we're going to have things like VHS Fest coming back to like the Mahoney Drive-In and things like that. So our type of people are going to be fairly busy in the next little while in
Oh
general.
yeah, oh yeah. Everybody's starting to crawl out and start do stuff.
The Beatles from under a rock.
Exactly.
Speaking of our type of people, thinking of the T-shirt you're wearing for Strange Tapes, the guys who did
Shout
let
out.
me give a second chance to your film because I did not at first watch it when you sent it into the festival. I saw the trailer for it and was like, "Oh, that's interesting. That's the thing I'd like. I don't
Right.
think anybody else would want it." I'd
Yeah.
already guiltfully said no to another Jackass themed film. And then when you guys talked about it on Scott's show, I was like, oh, all right, maybe there's something else. And then I rewatched it and it was like, oh, this has the feeling of what happened the first time I saw Trash Humpers.
Right.
And
Right. Right.
this is the SOV thing. This is the uh dirty rotten filmmaker type of aesthetic. When you were on Scott's show, he referred to it as being if Jackass was met by the movie Creep.
Yep.
And I could see that there for sure. I noticed for unnamed found footage festival that they are doing like a anniversary filming of Trash Humpers.
Yeah.
And so how suiting that they have you playing in the same day, I believe.
We're playing right before
Yeah.
Trash. It's amazing. Yeah, I'm so excited for that. Yeah, they got a 35 millimeter print of the movie, and yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Trash Humpers is actually really the film that connects me to that festival because one of their board members, she who shall name be unnamed in case for the rest it's the theme of the footage festival, but in case she Madeline wants to mention me on her on the show or whichever, she was up here for a film festival herself, and we had just met from online friends, and someone came up to her in the street and gave her tickets to the sneak preview of Trash Humpers before
Oh,
they knew
oh,
what it was. So she said, "This sounds like garbage you'd like. Let's go see what it is." And it was played at one of the off theaters during I think the like Toronto International Film Festival. So a lot of people showed up at this like university theater all dressed up to the nines because it was the same time all the big stars were having something.
that's
We
so
walked
funny.
in, we were late, we missed the intro for it, so we didn't know anything about it. Walked in, just saw this film, and that's the way that film should be seen. I always said that film
Absolutely.
should be like copied on a VHS and left at someone's doorstep, and you run away. So
Yeah.
I think that it's like a murder that's been given to them by a gift. But
Right.
so we saw the film. I'm laughing through it, and I remember saying out loud, "Oh, this feels like if Harmony Korine had a stroke." And then it was half the audience had left because they were all people there for like the red carpet galas and that, and they're like, "What the hell is this?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Come on, it is the title. It fits the title. You know
Right.
what the name of the movie was on the ticket that we were mysteriously given to somebody like that guy in the mall and Demons."
Hell yeah.
But then Harmony Korine came out on stage and just was like, "So what'd you guys think?" Like just and half the audience was gone. It was like crickets.
That's
And
so funny.
yeah, it was so that movie has stayed in my heart from that, and also does connect me to the Unfound guys. But so awesome that you get to witness that, and that people will get to witness that remastered and then see Flesh Games.
Right.
So let's not tease people anymore. Let's see a trailer for flash games and let people make their own decision of how confused they are. This would probably be the trailer that I saw first as well. So let's see if they get it more than I. Again, it's different when you're through the eyes of someone who's doing a festival, because especially that I don't really charge anything. I think I charge like $1 at half the time and then
Right.
nothing the rest. So I get like thousands of entries. So I get pretty lackadaisical and pretty jaded about halfway through it, where I'm like,
Yeah.
next,
No,
next.
I'm sure. I mean, a lot, even me, sometimes I'll go through the festivals on Film Freeway or whatever, and just cheap stuff you just submit to because it's like
Yeah.
a lot of it's not cheap. So I get it. I totally get it.
Oh yeah. Which it's, and then you get these moments where there's little like jumps for me, and I'll be like, okay, I'm doing nothing else but looking at these films and I'm watching them so over. But here we go. Here's the trailer.
I mean,
It's cheating.
I'm just gonna. I don't know. Yeah. Am I really? I'm gonna have to do this one, huh?
Yeah,
You somehow just
it's your
snaked
time.
out of it.
It's your time.
Hell yeah.
And that's what I mean by the impressive subtlety of your editing. You can have all that intensity happening, people falling off roofs, like the hard music, and then the bit that kills me is just looking at one guy's face down silently in there.
Yeah.
How much of these people who are in your film, without giving any spoilers at all for it, because people are about to see it about a week and a half from now, um, how much of these people are still kind of just being themselves?
I'd say pretty much everybody. I mean, Mike, like the main character, he's probably the most like person acting. He kind of goes off the rails a little bit, but yeah, I mean, for the most
A
part,
little bit.
yeah. But for I mean, the first half of the movie, I mean, is not far off from just me going and hanging out with my friends. And like I live in Madison, Wisconsin now, but we shot that in Rockford, Illinois, which is like an hour south, and that's my hometown. And those are all like the people that I grew up with and stuff. And I still work with them on my other projects and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's literally like a mixture of like a documentary and a narrative movie.
I've traveled a fair bit into the States in my old age, but the only time that really gave me the heebie-jeebies of the all-American comfortable family, bro family, oddly overly white family sometimes, is this needs to be said with some heavy context, but this comes from a time that I went to visit a guy in Philly, and there was lots of parts that I drove through that felt beautiful. In fact, not just a not a non-scary town, but an actual beautiful town. And then all of a sudden you'd like turn a block and
Oh
you'd
yeah.
be like, oh, this is where this guy lives. Oh, I know what I'm getting into. Last week at Eyesore Cinema, where we do our events, we had a night where nothing was happening, so I decided to bring down the screen and the projector and play something that I used to play to death at my events years ago, like over a decade. I hadn't pulled these DVDs out in forever, of the infamous Best of Backyard
Oh
Wrestling.
hell yeah, dude.
And
TV offer. Best of Backyard Wrestling has been banned from television. Secret underground fight clubs are risking their lives, and we have it all caught on tape. This one.
the amount of guys who have sizable backyards of their family, obviously live with their parents, their dad is sitting on a lazy boy that's in the backyard that must have been in the rain about 1,000 times, and the rest of their backyard is covered in rocks or broken bicycles, like
Oh yeah.
multiple. And you're like, that's not a set, that's just what
No.
that backyard looked like.
What's funny is I actually a few years ago I have a movie that I made called Bone Barrel, and
Mhm.
that's about it's like kind of a mixture of like flesh gamesy stuff and like more like shot stuff that's shot that like looks good, like found footage and like traditionally third person shot. And it's like an indie drama with like a tinge of like a little bit of horror and stuff. But that's about backyard wrestling, and it's set in my hometown. And the place where they do most of the wrestling is exactly what you're saying. It's just a giant backyard with tires and shit, and like we barely brought anything. It's just like what it looks like.
Yeah. Which every time I've seen those in the videos, I was always like, oh man, they made it look like Fury Road in their backyard.
Right.
But then I've just met certain people in that field and I'm like, wait, is your backyard always like this? And they're like,
Just
yeah, that's not a set. That's what my
Right.
backyard looks like. I'm like, what? When did you put gravel down in your backyard? Why did you do that?
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
no, we bought the house like that. They're like, okay.
That's just how it is, dude. White trash, baby.
Yeah, it just, and every one of them has a shopping cart that someone has
Oh, yeah.
taken, and no one remembers how the shopping cart got there. It's
Yeah,
always
it just
one,
exists there now.
yeah. One night it came there, and like, so do you use it to like lug stuff around? No, it's never left the backyard.
Yeah, it just
Like,
stays there.
does it pay rent? Did it came on its own?
I'm sure that the shopping cart that we had in Flesh Games is still somewhere at that house.
Your screen to get the best of backyard wrestling on VHS or DVD during this special limited time offer for only $19.95. Use your credit card and you'll get the forbidden bonus footage absolutely free.
I'm not going to show you a trailer for this. What I'm about to show you. I'm not going to show you any clips. I'm not doing that for any of the short films, but I am going to show you the promo photo for the short film that's playing just before your movie on the Saturday night. And the short film is called The Time Traveling Toilet Punk.
Oh, hell yeah.
So this individual has the diarrhea, and every time they use this toilet they end up in a different timeline.
That's amazing.
And they must poop their way back into finding where they came from.
I love it.
To hype for the people who will be coming to Terriblefest, they have sent us, or are sending us, a box of air fresheners that's just this photo. So people will get car air fresheners that is of this wonderful moment of the film. So
is the scent diarrhea?
I was afraid that it might. I've been told that it's just classic air freshener.
Got it.
So are you familiar with a film called Lichen Colony?
I know that name. I don't think I've seen it though.
It's one of those like infamously like the worst films.
Yeah.
I just recently got their Blu-ray from Visual Vengeance, and they decided that it needed to have an air freshener in it. That's supposed to smell like the air of Wisconsin.
Oh hell yeah, dude. That's what's up.
It however, I was still in the store when I opened it up, and I just opened the package. It's like, oh, I heard there's an air freshener in it. Open it up, and then it just farted this like just fake wilderness smell that was so pungent that like it was over my hands. I couldn't even wash it off. It was
amazing.
What I'm saying is, if you're looking for a cursed item, Lichen Colony's new Blu-ray is available now, and inside it is a curse.
Was that shot in Wisconsin, or does it just take place in Wisconsin? Or
actually, I had to look up for the part of it because our actually a ex-Wisconsin, ex-Chicago, a living friend, Jeff O'Brien, who's moved a little bit more north to the less city-like life. So I don't think he's actually in Wisconsin, but he realized that he's in the town where that movie's filmed because he found there's a restaurant that happens in it where it has a famous line where the one character in it forgets his lines and just shouts mistake and runs away, and they left it in the film.
Mistake.
And so he said, I'm gonna go to that restaurant, I'm gonna take a photo of myself outside, then I'm gonna look in the door, I'm gonna shout mistake and run away. So it's borderlining that area.
Mistake.
Wisconsin. But it is that part where you the wonder of most of America and my area of Canada, where you can be in a city and you can only drive an hour away, and all of a sudden you're now in doing banjo country. It just happens.
Oh yeah, that's where I live in Madison, Wisconsin, and like Madison, Wisconsin's like it's like a cool hip college town, and you know, super liberal and stuff. But literally 2 miles north of where I live is just like, you know, Republican like woods farm people and stuff. So that's how the whole state is.
all of a sudden you're in the sweater vests wherever you go, and then all of a sudden
Yep.
you cross by to a bunch of trees and see a sign that just says don't tread on me, or says is prosecutors will be shot on sight.
Oh yeah, I've seen literally 15 miles away from me. I've seen like I don't know if you ever saw it. There was like they took the Rambo cover and put Trump's head on it.
Oh
And that's
god.
a real flag that like you can buy around here. But yeah, I've seen it. It's so stupid and hilarious.
I have not been back south of the border since. Have I been since Trump? No, not since Trump.
Yeah.
So I haven't witnessed that part of the world. But I mean,
Yeah.
I there there was a time period where that was less scary as a Canadian when I would go to like Tennessee, where you'd be like, oh, half of this place is Dollywood, and the other
Right.
half is like someone who's going to beat me up for going to Dollywood
Yeah,
and
yeah.
on either side of the street. But it just seemed so cartoony. At no point did I ever feel, I don't know, upset about it. I felt like,
Right.
man, that's just the way it is. And I feel it felt not dangerous. However,
Yeah.
something has happened in the world that there's a certain part of it where you're like, oh, I'm just gonna leave now. It's not funny anymore. But
Yeah, yeah. Stuff
we're
got
out
a
that
little
way up
less
here
funny.
too. Everyone thinks that Canada is this pretty thing, but we're the same sort of battle these days. It's I don't claim to be smart enough to understand why, and I won't even
Yeah.
try. But
Yeah, me either.
well, let's keep it light, folks.
Yeah.
I will. Let's play one more trailer for you. Actually, we're gonna play two trailers for you. One that I used last week, but we're gonna do it all over again because why not? And because your mask makes me think of another film. Are you familiar at all with a underground artist known as Janice Click?
Oh yeah, yeah. I love those guys.
Yeah. So I Janice and I do silly things together all the time, so I can't resist any project that they're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
And Janice has been, I mean, even that my rule is usually I don't want to play the same people multiple times. Janice
Mhm.
has broken that rule more than anything at Terriblefest.
Yeah.
Luckily, they do a lot of shorts in between their stuff, so
Yeah. It's right up your alley, it seems like. That's
yeah. I
totally your
mean,
thing.
with films like Fish Piss that they've managed to make me have a cameo in, and their most recent film that's called Shrek Crack that
Yeah.
that also has me have a cameo in it. I didn't.
Beautiful.
You'll see. I think it's the mask that makes me. Well, also the film quality.
Right.
I've yet to see Shrek Crack, even that I'm in it, so I don't know what the fuck's going on. So, folks out there watching my videos, I'm going to be hyping this film until it properly comes out. There'll be a DVD available from Janice soon, and probably in a VHS from Gosh Darn Video soon. But
Yeah, I got to see. Didn't Bloodsick, Bruce and the homies, didn't they do something in Shrek
yes, they
Crack
did.
too?
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, it says that too. Which actually, let me do a thing I was going to do before I brought you in. Cut this out. To Bruce, to Janice, to Gosh Darn Video. One of the great things about being these micro budget indie filmmakers or just a bunch of weirdos is that we get each other. So the only thing we can
For
do
sure.
properly for our mental health is to support each other. So a bunch of us, I mean, that's what Shrek Crack is. That's what that weird ass project that had us with Dave the Rock Nelson for Attack of the Killer Potatoes.
Oh yeah.
And then a little film that I made called Farces of Death. And the gag to me is I told everyone who was involved in Farces of Death that they owned the rights to the film, so they can do whatever they want. Anyone who did a clip in it, took part in this weird anthology, they can do anything they want with it. So some people are releasing Blu-rays, DVDs, VHS of it. And then one guy, Logan, he decided that he would do multiple cuts of the film. He made like from a 50-minute, I guess, film, he made it into a 15-minute, a 30-minute, and a 5-minute
Oh,
cuts.
nice.
I have only watched the 15-minute one because that's the one that also got into the unnamed
Unnamed.
found footage festival, and I'm like, really? But it's going to be part of their virtual show, so
Got it.
anyone who can get a pass, you can watch it from home. I don't know what the schedule is for that, but that'll be up there on their site right now. So also in that, people made better trailers than I did, so other members of it made their own trailers because mine stunk. So all the more suiting that we watch the trailer for that, because that also connects us all, I guess. And that's what we got to do. That's what us weirdos have to do. So let's self-promote for me while we're here. Let's watch Ken's cut, the company Black Maria, which is basically part of my cut too. They just took that from me. Wait, maybe this is just my trailer and they upscaled it. I don't know. It had a much better thumbnail on YouTube. Oh, hi. Hey, I didn't see you there. There's I don't know my job, but someone left this guy open and no one else is here right now, so just hang on a second. A good chunk of that will not be seen in the 15-minute cut at the festival, including the guy who just barfed up blood at one point.
Forces of death.
Again, forgot I even did that.
Hell yeah.
The bit about the guy eating who pukes up the blood, he his piece was so good, which you can find on Chris Brown's YouTube, not that Chris Brown, but I'll link it in here as I often do. His bit called Hotties, which is him eating wings until he died.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
His bit is so good that Logan didn't want to cut it. He just thought, okay, for this version of it, if I can't fit it in, I'm not using it at all. So the people on Unnamed Found Footage Festival's virtual show do not get to see that part, but they do get to see a man poop a cupcake, a man get killed by a rubber hose, and a gorilla eat a topless woman. So I mean, that's worth your admission fee right there.
Hell yeah.
What's the future for you, David? What are you thinking of doing now? Is
we just
coming? Where's the juices coming from?
We did a short that's like all s.o.v that is, I think it's going to be on the next Symbolicus from Marcus Cook does those anthology Symbolicus movies. And then we're finishing shooting the next feature in like 2 weeks, which is like, it's another found footage movie. It's about are you aware of like the YouTuber Gothic King Cobra at all?
Yes, but I'm wondering if it's because you posted about it.
I post about him all the fucking times.
Yeah,
but he's like he's like a
oh
part
yes
of this...
yes right, because we were trolling him, right? That's what
but
yes,
it's a part of this whole like YouTuber contingency where they're kind of like degenerates, and people like will troll them and make fun of them and pay him to drink or pay him to do fucked up stuff on their live streams and stuff. So that's what the movie is about. It's about that kind of like subculture, I guess. So yeah, we're finishing up that movie now, and then I'm hoping to shoot at least one more feature this year, and then yeah, we're just keeping busy.
It's the way to do it. I'm thinking of that's making me think again of Janice when in Fish Piss, where Janice also got Show Nice to have a cameo, who's like
right
the pre-internet of that, almost like
yeah.
Show Nice have been doing that for forever, of just eating graphite pencils because people will pay him to do it. The world we live in, we were expecting flying cars by now, but we get our kicks where we get our kicks. Again, I'm so glad that Ron picked up the film too. I will randomly
I'm very happy about that. Yeah,
edit me mentioning that in, showing that cover as well, because that didn't even come up. I'm glad that he picked that up.
For sure, man. I'm stoked about it.
Who did the art for the tape release for?
It's this guy. I forget. I think his name's Lucas, but he goes under Rusted Winds on Instagram.
Oh, okay.
He's
I do know him. Yes.
He's awesome. He does a lot of cool, and he's super affordable. So like, yeah, if anybody's looking for like nice death metal-y, splattery stuff, then yeah, check that out.
All right, excellent.
TV offer, you'll also receive free forbidden bonus footage that has been banned in 5 countries.
Let's end this with a flashback. Let's see. Do I have trailer for what I want to play there? We're gonna add that in afterwards. Let's just play a trailer. Again, people think I'm sponsored by Visual Vengeance Video, but I'm not. But maybe they should pay me because I do mention them all the time. That's a hint, guys.
Yeah.
So
Look it up.
Here's a clip of to end us, to say goodbye to one of my favorite discoveries in the last year. Again, is an s.o.v film made fucking 20 years ago by 2 guys in Hawaii called the Cousins Brothers. Are you familiar with them at all?
I don't think so, no.
The big one that they released on was called Slaughter Day, but this is one of their first in action movie that they lost all the sound for, and then as 20 years later dubbed it over, called Loose Cannons. And if you can find it, people, see it. Not only is it the funniest thing you've ever seen, it actually is a pretty badass, just a general badass action film for making absolutely no sense. So David, thanks so much for coming and enjoy this madness, as well as you guys in the audience. And we will see you all at Terriblefest in a little bit. And then everyone in the West Side, go to the San Francisco, isn't it? Or
yep.
San Francisco for the, I always mix up my Sands. RIP to Julian Sands, but that's a whole different story. We'll go there for the Unnamed Found Footage Festival at the very end of the month. You will not regret it. The docket is packed at that show. I would dare say almost more packed than my own, but you know, let's not be crazy. Anyway, check out Loose Cannons.
There's a guy, a blonde-headed guy. He's got a ponytail. If you see him, kill him. Looking for me? Farewell to arms, buddy. I need to commandeer your truck. They're on their way to kill the president. Move over.
This is going to be so exciting.
Why do you want to kill the president anyway? Well, the vice president wants to get rid of the president, and that'll make me vice president. Sounds good to me. I never knew being a terrorist would be so much fun. I hate kids. Let the fire begin. Nothing can stop us now.
Yeah, that looks amazing.
It's every bit worth it, and it's only an hour long, like most films should be.
Absolutely.
We love audio video plus.
Mention them all the time. That's a hint, guys.
Yeah.
So
look it up.
That's the only series.
So
look it up.